Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening. Welcome to the inaugural first Too Late for Me's Gaming Tea Shop Talk. As usual, I have a hard time starting these things, but I'm in a relaxed mood. I have the wonderful Coffee Talk original soundtrack going by Andrew Jeremy. I have a nice little layout. The background is not mine. It was grabbed just off Google. So as you can see, I have in big, bold cyberpunk waifu font letters that it says current topic. And to kick things off when starting a new podcast and or just talking space, let's begin with what we're up to. So we're going to talk about don't know how to do this. Whoops. Current topic. And then go to this. Oops. Games I've played for the channel. Wow, you have to make this smaller than I suspected. That's sad. Channel. There we go. So, now that we've overcome our first technical hurdle, I know, amazing. I actually run a channel called 2la84me, the same as this video's title. And I've been running it for about, let's say, 2-3 years now. According to my YouTube history, 5 years, starting at a Silent Hill PT mini play that lasted about 51 minutes. And then following that, about a year later, we hit with Coffee Talk, which is a string of copyrights, but that's okay. But what's more relevant to me currently is the games I've been playing in the last month. Today is May 1st, and since we started a new show on the 1st of May, this may become a weekly or monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, or half a yearly type deal. But I currently do these kind of things at my own amusement, mainly just for trying out new mediums, seeing what's going on, and seeing if I can get these things work just the way I want them to, and I have fun with them. So we're gonna start with what we did 1 month ago, just one, according to my YouTube tab. And that was one of my favorite video games, part of the My Favorite Video Games list. It's a little known indie game called Save the Date, and it's one of my favorite games ever made. And what makes it so special is how small its scope is. You're playing as a fellow or lady, it's implied you're a fellow, and you're just going out on a date. But the date inevitably goes horribly, horribly wrong, multiple times. And it's unfortunate, but the game is about trying to save your date. And through that, you will discover, more things about your dates, more ways you can try to circumvent things going wrong. And the game will lead to its ultimate conclusion, which has a heartfelt talk with you. And I like that a lot. It really broke my mind when I was about, 16, 15. It was a wonderful time. Next up, what I played was 4004 Ripper, a very little known itch game made by a friend who is dipping their hands and toes into game development. And I don't really know much about the overall plot to summarize, but you play as a robot girl and you're making your way from a basement to a surface in a about 35-minute long visual novel. There's things that happen. It's very interesting, and it asks some questions and gives some answers what it thinks about. So I thought that was really cool, and I'm glad I played it. Unfortunately, I played it right before I got a brand new mic, so my voice quality isn't as amazing as I'd like it to be, especially considering that I'm probably one of the few people who will make a video about such friends' cool visual novel indie game. And that sucks. I wanted to do a bit better for them because they deserve better. But what can you do? Life happens. Next up, I played Bleach Rebirth of Souls. Well, I expected what I expected from Bleach Rebirth of Souls. I did not expect it to hit the levels of Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 or Clash of Ninja or the Bleach Heat the Soul games on the PSP. I just expected it to be hopefully as good as Kill la Kill If, another arena fighter for modern consoles. And it has mechanics, and it has a story mode, which encompasses most of Bleach, I believe all the way up to the 1,000 Year Blood War. But I did not find myself enjoying it much. However, I only paid $40 for it thanks to accidental pre-order prices, and I secured that months and months in advance because I'm like, sure, I like Bleach a lot. To my immediate left, I have a giant Zangetsu hanging on my wall I made myself. And I was very happy with that. So it's not a stretch to say I like Bleach. I have a couple of volumes of Bleach that occur at the end of the Aizen arc and at the start of the Fullbringers arc. Back when I had a cool comic manga shop near my school when I used to go decades ago. I say decades, a decade ago. Then next up I played on my favorite video games was Res Infinite, one of the most special games I've ever played in my heart. I love Res. I love Res Infinite so much. Parts of me want to say I wish we had more res, and the sensible part of me says no, we are not allowed to have more res. That's silly. No, absolutely not. Only only res should exist. And through that thought process, we did get Res Infinite and Res Infinite VR, which is just different perspectives on normal res, which is all right. I'll take that. Res is so special. The music is amazing. The gameplay is simple. It's an on-rail shooter, but it inspires such emotions from you. And if you haven't played Res, you should go play Res. I don't think there's much more I can or need to say about it, because that's how good it is. Then next up, I played Anna Dream Barbecue. I titled the video A Fever Dream Within the Fever Dream, which is very apt for what it is. Anna Dream Barbecue is based on the Anna video series made by Joel Q, I believe his name was. I can't be bothered to remember the specifics, but it was a first-person exploration game. Do some platforming as well, so maybe you can call it a first-person platformer. You can also call it parts of a visual novel because there's a lot of talking. And it's just chapter 1 of the Dream Barbecue. However, it's not overly long. It's about 2 hours long, depending on how exhaustive you are. Like, if you're fairly exhaustive, it can go for 2.5 hours. And that's just on one run. You're not repeating anything. You're doing it all in one go. And if you're really hankering for an experience, you can get about 3 hours out of it. But it's not terribly long. Like, I beat it in an hour and 40 minutes. And I wasn't particularly doing everything in my power to see everything possible. I just wanted to see what was going on. And the game has a pretty straightforward critical path. Well, there's 2 critical paths actually, but that depends on how exhaustive you are. And then following that, we did something that I don't normally do. And we did a very long series that we did to completion. And when I say I don't normally do, it's a game I probably wouldn't play for my channel, because I normally try and keep my focus very narrow on my channel. Games that I am interested in or want to play or have some modicum of interest in. The game I'm talking about is Kingdom Hearts 2. And the video series is titled We Play Kingdom Hearts 2 for Our Education. And yeah, I certainly learned a lot. I learned about Kingdom Hearts 2. The synopsis of my experience with Kingdom Hearts, the Kingdom Hearts series, is I've been seeing people talk about it and play it for years, and then when I hit college in my 20s, I finally asked a dorm mate if I can borrow their copy of the 1.5, 2.5 collection, and I played it on my PS3 and got some through Kingdom Hearts 1 and wasn't very impressed, so I gave it back to them. And they were like, oh, you didn't like it? And I said, unfortunately, it wasn't quite my taste. So hard cut to years later, when I'm scrolling on eBay looking for gaming deals, and what do I see? I see a PS4 copy of Kingdom Hearts, The Story So Far, for 20 bucks. And I believe that has like 9 games on it. It has all the games from the 1.5 and 2.5. It has the .02 Prologus, and it has some kind of cutscene from something else, whatever it may be. But it contained Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, Birth by Sleep, Dream Drop Distance, Rechained, Recoded, 358 Days, the movie version, .02 Prologus, which does Aqua's story, and one more I might be forgetting. But that's the main. 1 Final Mix, 2 Final Mix, Rechained, Dream Drop Distance, Birth by Sleep, Recoded, Rechained. Yeah, I already said Rechained. But yeah, all the Kingdom Hearts games that are not Kingdom Hearts 3, basically. And since I bought it and I like getting my money's worth, I went, okay, how about I actually play these games I bought? Lowering the sound a little bit because I'm hitting yellow sometimes. So I played Kingdom Hearts 1 all the way through, this time paying attention, doing my best to understand the combat. And you know what? I was alright. I liked Kingdom Hearts 1. It was simple, it was clean, it was straightforward. Sometimes the worlds were a little bit annoying, But for the most part, it was a pretty straightforward game. Like, hey, go beat the bad guy, save your friends, become strong, meet Disney characters, go through wacky worlds, fly this fun gummy ship. I don't think there's anything too unusual about that sort of process. Then, after I beat Kingdom Hearts 1 and did not do any extra challenges, I did not go fight Sephiroth, I played Kingdom Hearts Rechain of Memories, which is a remake of the Game Boy Advance card-based game, card action game. And it reimagined it for 3D based on the Kingdom Hearts 1, I believe, because it didn't feel very Kingdom Hearts 2 now that I think about it in retrospect. So I'm going to say it was based off Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix. I genuinely believe that is an awful game, and I did not have fun playing it. It was quite miserable, at least for me. I did not enjoy the experience of learning how to play cards. That was not my taste, unfortunately. And I never want to do it again. I never want to think about it ever again. Ever again. And then after you beat the game has the audacity to say, hey, now do it again as Riku. I don't know if it's the version of the game's hard mode. I don't know if it truly remixes the game, make it a better experience. But all I know is on the Story So Far collection and on the game's trophy screen, when you beat a game in the Story So Far, they mark it off and give you a wallpaper, and the game gives you a trophy saying you did it. Seeing as I got that and they gave me the trophy, I'm going to say, yeah, I did do it. So I'm not going to go back and do it again. As unfortunate as that is for some, it's not quite my flavor. So then, because I was so kind of drained, I booted up Kingdom Hearts 2 on critical because that's the way I heard it was played for so long. And once I did that, I played it for, according to my play count, like 15 hours. I don't know how I marathon all three of these games, but I somehow did. But I played for 3 hours on critical, got through the hazing and the growing period, and then I stopped at Pirates of the Caribbean, which is a little over leveled for someone I was very under leveled for someone playing on critical to be there, because that's not where you're supposed to be. And then I stopped, and I stopped playing it for 2 years, and I went, yeah, I'm not doing that again. Fast forward 2 years later, and finally my taste for it had recovered. I went, okay, I can play Kingdom Hearts 2 now. I can do it. And through some encouragement from friends and, some helpful guidance, I did. I managed to finish Kingdom Hearts 2 in about, let's do a live count of how many hours on video I have saved, because I cut out at minimum 10 hours of me dying on critical. We have 2.5, 3, 5.5, 7 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours, 15 hours, 17 hours, 20 hours, 22, and a final 5. So about 25 hours doing what I consider everything you have to do to finish the game, with somebody like Sephiroth thrown in just for fun. So if I'm not counting all the audio and video I cut out, which is about 10 hours, the straight critical path was 25 hours, which seemed about right. Not counting that and my previous playthrough, which was already at 15 hours, I put like 60 hours into the game, or somewhere between 45 and 60, because I truly lost count of how many hours I cut. It was insane. But I did learn about Kingdom Hearts 2. I learned that the combat, when it's focusing and operating at peak capacity, is very fun. And I explain more of my thoughts in the video series, but just to summarize it, Kingdom Hearts 2 combat, when it functions fully, is a good game. Unfortunately, it has a lot of talking, very poor pacing when it comes to cutscenes. Like, you'll finish a cutscene, walk to the next room, another cutscene plays. Or you finish cutscene, boss fight, another cutscene. And sometimes you do all this sequentially, And if you die, you have to go all the way back to where the game says, okay, well, this is the last time you truly had freedom. You weren't locked into this sequence. And on critical, it's very frustrating. And only if you're fighting bosses will things happen like King Mickey bailing you out. But unfortunately, without boss fights, and not talking about boss fights, sometimes again the game's RNG will kill you by spawning Darkness Sora, and Darkness Sora is borderline useless. And if you have a full drive meter, which is capped at like 7 or 8, you're going to be in that form for a long time. You're going to be very vulnerable to hits, and you can't transform out of it. You can only suck it up or run away or try and fight. And that killed me more times than I can possibly count. So drive was very unreliable in a lot of situations where I don't know how this thing works, but hopefully it doesn't kill me. So that's my thoughts about Kingdom Hearts 2 for my education. And now we get to the newest 2 games I'm playing for the channel, which are still up and running. The original 1994 release of Marathon. Marathon is cool. It's very Doom-like. One of those Doom clones I heard so much about back in them 90s before I was even born. And I played it out of nowhere because I hoped and requested to Bungie, like, hey, I'm a small content creator, mainly for my own amusement, not for profit or gain, but a small content creator nonetheless. I would be more than happy to stream your game to an audience or put my thoughts out into the ether. Please provide me a code. And I did the jumping through the hoops to get a code for Marathon, and I was rewarded with 0, which is in the description of the video series. Bungie didn't give me a code, so I just went back and played the original. Which, hey, that's what you're supposed to do. You don't have enough money for the new game? Go back and play the old one. Fair enough deal. And Marathon's pretty cool. I don't really have too many more thoughts for it besides it's more to my speed Doom. I definitely don't like some parts of Doom where you have to really wander around and scrape walls and beg and plead to find some key cards or do weird, movement tricks to get around. It wasn't always for me. I like Doom, but it wasn't always for me. Marathon is a little more contained, at least from what I've played so far. A little more nice about what it's, asking of you. So that is more my speed, and it is more horror-y than it would lead you to believe. I don't really count Doom as a horror game. It's very action-y. You're playing rock music, you're blasting demons. Like, you're the horror, not the demons, really. And then finally, the newest game on my channel, Mega Man X Command Mission. Yes, a brand new game from 2004. Wow, 11 years old game, coming fresh and straight out of the oven. I love Mega Man X. I love Mega Man X Command Mission. I'm not very good at Mega Man X, but I do like Mega Man X1. Mega Man X Command Mission was for me. I was very, very happy to play it. And when I finished for the first time as a kid and I beat all the super bosses, I went, man, I want to do it again. But I never did. I still have the disc, but I just never did another run. I think I got distracted by playing Super Mario Sunshine or Mario Kart or Pikmin. I was doing something else on the GameCube at the time. Who knows? And as I'm playing it for the channel and doing a little bit of research for it, man, the GameCube version of this game it's kind of cracked, like in a bad way. Like the encounter rate is turned up way, way too high. Like I had to cut out at least, let's see, the video is only about between an hour and a half long, and I played it for about 2.5 hours. So I had to cut at least 30 minutes to an hour of random fights where I'm just not talking out of sheer boredom, which is not my favorite preferred style of video content making. I do all this for my own amusement, and if I'm not talking during any of these videos, it starts to become a chore, which is the complete opposite of my goals. I don't want this kind of process to become just a thing I do. I do it for my amusement and for my education, learning how to go through OBS, learning how to do fun things in Windows Media Editor or what have you, or learning how to rig my PNG tuber and such. I say rig, it's just putting things together and make sure it doesn't break, which requires a lot more work. I have to request to have my character blink during a lot of animations. Like if I keep talking, my character on screen, Raleigh, she will blink. And when I'm not talking, for a long enough period, she will also blink. Yep. It's funny that way. But my main point is, although I still like the game a lot, the random battles are killing me. Luckily, it's not a very long game. Like, you can get through it in about maybe 16 hours, 18, depending on how hard you go and your knowledge being tested. Like, I skated through the first 2 bosses like fairly easily. Like, chapter 2 only lasted about 55 minutes in the video. I did cut down about 45 minutes of just me walking around getting items, but critical pathing, just going straight through, 55 minutes. And the prologue from very beginning to chapter 2, it was only an hour and a half. And the first boss, Wild Django of chapter 1, he was a bit of a DPS knowledge check for me back then, but since I understand type matching better, I completely obliterated him. And using all my knowledge of the X combat system, he was a joke. So yeah, that's what I've been doing for the channel. So now we can switch our next topic to why do a podcast type dealie? So this is more a question to myself, but why do a podcast type dealie? I ask to me. And the reason is everyone and their mother has a podcast. It's not a common, it's not an uncommon thing at this point. Everyone loves to do it. But for me, I'm doing it for my own amusement and testing the waters for things. I want to do a lot of things on YouTube, and a lot of them stem from my, again, I'm going to keep saying this over and over again, for my own amusement. I like doing things for me, and for me mostly. I'm sorry for any potential viewers who are like, oh, this isn't really for me, or I don't really get it, or eh. At the very end of the day, I want to make videos that are very good at being good background noise. Something that you put on in the background while you're cooking or reading or eating, and you occasionally look over to and see someone talking very calmly and go, yeah, they're doing something over there. What was I doing again? I want to make those kind of videos. And maybe it sounds a bit narcissistic, but I like watching my own videos. And I do just as I mentioned before. I put them on the background and I hear myself talking and I see what I was doing. And like, yeah, sometimes I'll go back to really old videos and see what I was doing. Like way back in the day when I was doing coffee talk and I had a terrible microphone and a terrible recording setup using Xbox Game Bar recording, which only lasts about 2 hours and it will forcibly cut your video off. So I have dozens of hours of video lost because of that kind of thing. And I'll just put it on the background because you should be your own hype man. If no one's gonna support, if no one's got you, you got you. We only got us, as some might say. And moving back towards a podcast, I think it's important to catalog your thoughts about things at a time. There are a lot of things in life where you think about and go, oh yeah, it's wandering through my head. Oh, that would be so cool to start. And you never do. And I'm not getting any younger, in my late 20s now, and I do want to try many more things in life. Maybe not grabbing a GoPro and climbing up Mount Everest or showing my travel vlogs to everyone across the world, but mainly just trying something new and seeing how I feel about it after the fact. Even setting this up wasn't that extremely complicated, but there were some things that made me think a little bit more than I usually do. Like even setting this whole YouTube thing up, it was a process. And now that I'm here, it's a little bit easier than before. You know, maybe one day in the future, I'll have my own custom gaming tea shop. So no one else but me can claim it as their own. So thank you for the person who made this, and it is available to see on Google and used for other purposes. And thank you to my artist I commissioned for my Raleigh model. But these things don't come together naturally. They have to have some thought behind them and a little bit of work. And in my journey to, make videos, do editing, try making reviews or retrospectives, I only have one retrospective on my channel, which is about Dance Dance Revolution 1. And it's not a very good video, but I'm proud of it nonetheless. It has like 100 views. It means 100 people saw it. And I don't like to compare myself to others. Some people have 1K, 5K, 10K, a million, 5 million, 30 million, 50 million followers, viewers, whatever. Since I don't use social media like that, I don't have a problem not comparing myself to others. I'm happy with my little progress. And even then, I'm not making things for others. It's, again, for myself, for my own amusement, for my own education. So as I do these things and learn more, I'm happier with the process itself. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And so we finally wrap back around to why I podcast. And that's because I like talking. And it's good to talk in a focused manner. And through talking in a focused manner, maybe I'll learn new things, discover new things, meet people who want to collaborate with me. I can put them on screen as well. We just chat and do our thing to nice music. I really don't know how I want to learn how that works as well. I cut myself off, but I don't know how that really works. So I did do a Lethal Company stream with my friend Alex, and I was able to get her PNG tuber on the screen as well while we played. And it was not a simple process. It took a little bit of rigmarole and going through websites and having it send that video feed to mine. I had to go through OBS and set it up. And by the time it finally worked properly, it's like, okay, cool. I did it for one person. So I felt very learned, but a little bit exhausted of all the work that went into just putting someone else's avatar on screen. You really don't think about these kind of things until you have to do it yourself, which is why, I'm grateful to streamers and such who give me the opportunity to try and learn from them. So hopefully that answers my own question about why do a podcast daily. So we can move on to our next topic. And since this is a gaming tea shop talk, we should move back to gaming. So the biggest thing in the news right now is the Nintendo Switch 2 talk. And direct discussion. Yeah. So about a month ago, or 4 weeks ago, or however long you want to put it, Nintendo finally revealed their long-awaited Switch 2. And the presentation itself was fairly nice. I did a react video, something I only ever done once, and I might do more in the future. But for such a rare occasion, I thought, okay, I guess I'll, hop in like everybody else and show myself and how I feel. And I thought that would be amusing for future me to look back on and see how impressed I was. I wasn't very impressed. Not many things there appealed to me. I actually think the direct they showed beforehand was more impressive, if anything. Where they had Rhythm Heaven and, early Metroid footage. I think they could have saved other things for the newer direct. But since they didn't, whatever. And they showed Mario Kart, Donkey Kong, Kirby. They showed a little bit of Silk Song. Showed Metroid running at 120. They showed Welcome Park, which is the pack-in game, but you still got to pay for it. And by the end, I went, okay. And then afterwards, since they didn't tell you the price in their direct, where they, are showcasing the direct, I had to go find out on my own and hearing, the word on the grapevine from others about the price. And the price was $450. And I did jump a little bit at the price because a regular Switch is $300. And it goes on sale quite often for $250. And if you get a Switch Lite, it runs for about $200 to $225 or $250 if it's brand new from GameStop or whatever. Only a Switch OLED reaches about 350, and it's not even worth it because the OLED screen is nice, but if you want your games to not look fuzzy all the time, you will play it in docked mode, which is a higher resolution, but the games run a little bit worse. But if you're a handheld person, then OLED, sure. But if you're a handheld mostly person, why not get a Switch Lite? At that point, it's an extra $125 just for a better screen. And I'm not a huge screen crazy person. I do have a 4K 144 hertz monitor that's about 48 inches in my room, but I bought that along with my PS5 to see, like, okay, I'm so impressed with, what the newest generation will bring. What's it like? And it ended up being like, okay, it's okay. 120 FPS is pretty cool, but I've seen 240 and that's like really cool, but 60 is fine. If I were to be told like, hey, you can have this thing, but it always costs a little bit more, like, no, I'll take 60. 60 is fine. 60 FPS, thank you. 60 FPS, 1080, no problem. We're good there. So that immediately leads to the Switch 2 price, which is $450. And I've heard more industry veterans and economists and folks who are generally a little bit less mindful of their wallet go like, yeah, that makes sense. What I predicted was $400 because, $300 console, newest generation, bump it up by 100. Okay, seal the deal. We're good. Toasty and dandy. But they tacked on the extra $50, which the Switch 2 does come with a lot of neat features, such as, mice for controllers and super smooth gliding control sticks, which apparently feel like GameCube sticks. So I think that's fun. And they don't have an IR sensor, as I recall, but they have like real magnets and metal in them, real steel, which helps them like magnetize better. And what's that last thing they have? They can run up to 120, which is really nice. I don't know if all that really constitutes an extra $50, but at the end of the day, after thinking about it, it's like, whatever, fine. I'll bite it if I have to. I won't, because I don't really like Nintendo as a company all that much, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm sure I will get a Switch 2 at some point, one day. I did get a Switch 1 for my birthday, thanks to my little brother. He was so kind to give me one. And then he bought himself one at the same time, so he spent a lot of money that day. But I was so excited to get it because No More Heroes 3 just came out. And even though No More Heroes 3 was kind of a disappointment because I'm a huge No More Heroes 2 fan, I was still happy to have gotten the console. And I was like, cool. At the end of the day, I still didn't pay for it. It was given to me. And I own most consoles, like, ever, just in general. Maybe I don't own a Genesis or Super NES, but most things past that I do own. So for me to not have gotten it like on my own within the first 3 years says a lot about like how I feel about the company, even if the games are really good. So I don't see myself getting a Switch 2 in the future. Just at least not for like 3 or 4 years. Maybe I'll find one for cheap on eBay that's like a little smashed up and whatever, comes with a game or two, who knows. And then Nintendo did a crazy thing on their own website, and because they didn't announce any prices in the direct anywhere, we were left wondering, okay, well, what's how much Mario Karts cost? Certainly it'll cost like 60, right? Maybe 70. For reference, I don't pay for $70 games. I think that's an asinine thing to pay for. $70 is a month's worth of groceries or a couple of delivery takeout meals. But hey, sometimes we bite the bullet for our entertainment. Like you can go to the movie 3 times and see 3 separate movies for $60. Like that sort of makes sense to me. Whatever. Mario Kart 8 costs $80. And you have to wonder if this is Nintendo, if the height of their hubris, post Wii era, post DS era, we can do no wrong. We are the #1 gaming company. Everyone shall bow before our might. And then immediately being humbled with the 3DS and then Wii U and President Iwata dying and them having just no direction for a while. And it's like, okay, guys, you're not compelling anyone. PS4 and Xbox One are just taking this generation easily. It's a wash. It's over. You guys are not coming back from this. But since they've been riding high off the Switch for the last 8 years, one would have to think, okay, maybe they learned their lesson. Maybe they're going to be a bit more humble. But no, they're practicing regional pricing or various pricing or flexible pricing, whatever they call it, and they'll charge whatever they want for their games depending on how they feel. No real reason or rhyme that makes sense to us as people, just if they feel like it. Tears of the Kingdom, $70. Donkey Kong, 70. Fire Emblem, probably 60. Splatoon, maybe 60, maybe 70. Ask us again later. We'll think about it. And then you get to Mario Kart. No, $80. And of course, it makes sense from pure numbers. Mario Kart 8 sold like 50, 60 million copies, which is an insane number, reaching Minecraft and Grand Theft Auto 5 levels of sales. It's in the pantheon of greatest selling games ever now. And it's like, uh-oh. They're thinking they're cool. They're not going to be stopped. They believe that they are invincible and they don't have to like really care about what anyone else thinks. So yeah, they're going to charge $80 for Mario Kart, and either you're in or you're out. They don't care. What they'll care about is if you try and pirate it or steal it. But otherwise, they're like, hey, we can easily do another 50 million across 8 years. No problem. I really wish they didn't do that, because what they're doing is setting a precedent for $80 games to be unlocked. Because we all figure that Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to come out at $100, and yeah, the sickos are going to come out and play Grand Theft Auto 6, and the sickos being most of the world, they'll suck it up and pay $100 because they don't buy games. They buy the one thing. Grand Theft Auto, that's a premium thing they'll pay for. Whatever, they don't care. But most games aren't Grand Theft Auto, and most companies aren't Nintendo. So they might be trying to set a precedent that other people can't follow and will just doom themselves in the process. It'll be a highly unfortunate future that comes to pass. And I really don't want that to pass. Like at all. I love the gaming industry, but it's taking such a heavy beating of the last year and a half. In, I guess, the last half a decade, really. Since 2020, when the pandemic started, the gaming industry has been in a very strange place. New and uncharted territory, some might call it. It's just upsetting at times when you see companies not having any empathy for the common folk and just going, yeah, we'll do that to you. We'll charge you. We don't care. And then following up on that is like their game cart sharing business, and it's like, oh, okay, this might be for the people. But no, it's not really for the people. It's just to keep the monkeys off their back when it comes to sharing games, and how they're slowly taking away the ability to own a game cartridge and have the game on it and then give the game cart or sell the game cart to somebody else. They're just slowly taking away that ability, but they're being nice about it currently, and it sucks because most people don't really care about that kind of thing. I care about that kind of thing, but most people don't really care. So yeah, Nintendo doing what Nintendo does best, which is having the facade of the family-friendly company, but doing everything in their power to make money. Because what are games for at the end of the day? They're for making money. But they do it in the most mask on, I'm your friend way possible. And legions of Nintendo fanboys really don't help when it comes to like pointing out their crap behavior, going like, dude, you guys suck. Like, be better as a company. And they'll constantly say no. They don't care. They'll do their own thing. They'll march to the beat of their own drums. Which is like, okay, well, it's my choice as a consumer to engage or not with this product. What can you do? So that's all I want to say about the Nintendo Switch 2. So I think we can change topics to next game I've been playing. The Division 3. and I'll put CO as for Clair Obscure. So I've been playing about, let's see, maybe 5 hours, 6 hours of Clair Obscure Expedition 33, or Expedition 33 as the general public has been calling it. And it's a really good game. Like, this is not going to be a long topic, probably like 5 minutes long. But I do want to gush how I love it when games take notes from Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario. Paper Mario more specifically because that's my go-to. I really don't care for Super Mario RPG all that much. It doesn't taste the way Paper Mario does to me. So I love it when games take notes from Paper Mario and go, hey, we like that. We like button times. We like the ability to beat a boss purely on parries. Do it. We haven't seen games really scope that and do it right. For me, anyway, the last game that really hit that tried Paper Mario style stuff was Bug Fables. And Bug Fables came out like, geez, 5 years ago or something. It's not recent. It's definitely start a pandemic or during pandemic type game. And the characters are great. They're all voiced wonderfully. I want to actually listen to it in French at some point, but I've heard that the French is a little bit more sassy, whereas I'm enjoying the cast. There's Charlie Cox in there and the voice actress for Shadow Hearts and Ben Starr as well, and just many other people that I have not gotten to that I won't name. So I'm extremely happy with these performances and I want to see more. And I hope the company that makes the game does well and shows the industry like, hey, this is the level and size of games that we want. We want AA size games that don't take forever. The game is reportedly about 30 hours to critical path and 60 hours to do everything, which sounds reasonable. Definitely not Persona 5's 100 hours that I put into it doing every single thing under the sun for it. Yeah, the music is wonderful. Gameplay, again, wonderful. The mechanics are wonderful. It harkens back so heavily to, it feels like Final Fantasy 13 but French. And lo and behold, the devs were rumored to have been working on a Final Fantasy, but then they got cut from like Ubisoft or something. Who knows? Only they know. But it definitely feels like Paper Mario Final Fantasy, which is what I love. I like that. I like those words coming out of my mouth. It feels good. It feels real good to say. So I've been doing that, and it's made me very happy. And I can't wait to go back to it at some point. I was gonna play Marathon and Mega Man X, and then maybe more Clair Obscur today, but seeing as I'm doing this currently, and I don't really have that much bandwidth for talking for extremely long periods. Like even this is running about 50 minutes, but I don't have that much bandwidth for it. So moving on to the next topic. What's up next? And as much as I would love to do a 2-hour podcast by myself, I'm just not built for it. Even for the inaugural first podcast, I'm pretty sure the video is going to get like copyright claimed or whatever because I'm playing coffee talk music. I could have royalty-free lo-fi music going in the background, but for the first one, I wanted to use something familiar like coffee talk. Maybe if I do this in a week or two or a month or bi-month or 6 months or quarterly, I'll get some royalty-free lo-fi and just have it going in the background. But to answer the topic question, what's up next? I'm thinking of a few things. Thinking about Dark Souls 1 for the channel. I haven't played Dark Souls 1 in years, and I didn't really do a full legitimate playthrough, so maybe it'll be good to revisit it and do a legitimate playthrough. Maybe Dark Souls 2. I've never beaten the original Dark Souls 2, not Scholar of the First Sin. I really, really want to, excuse me. I would love to play Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 for the channel. That'd be really fun. I haven't done Paper Mario for the channel. I'd love to get to that at some point. Play some other visual novels. I've been thinking about the Yandere-based visual novel Crimson Gray for a little bit. I really like that game and its characters. Like, that's the way you write characters in your visual novel, that your romance visual novel. It's very, very good. So I've been thinking about that. And not much else. Not much else. Maybe inviting some friends or family onto the show just to talk about games. That could be fun. I'll need to set it up. But yeah, that's all I can think of that I want to have for the channel, or what I believe will be up next. So now we'll get into our closing. So if you're watching a VOD, or if you're watching a VOD on Twitch or watching on YouTube, hopefully it didn't get like Omega claimed, where it's like, hey, your video is going to get deleted. And there's not much I can do about the audio. The audio is playing as softly as it possibly can. Thank you for watching. If you are, I appreciate it. And if you aren't, hey, maybe one day. Maybe one day. I'm glad I got to do this for about 50 minutes. It feels good having some perspective on the type of podcast I've listened to for years. Like, this would definitely go at least twice as long with a friend or two. And I can see why I love podcasts that go past 3 hours, because it's about the typical length of my workday. Because I don't have really 3-hour work days. It typically goes like 5 or 6. But I love having podcasts that I don't have to constantly keep switching. So if they just keep talking for a long time and I like the people who talk, then more power. But doing this by oneself, like folks like Jeff Gersman do, it's pretty hard, especially if you don't have a long list of topics. And I ran through a month of games and topics like fairly quickly. So maybe my pacing is a little bit off, or my cadence is like not quite the spec with this at the moment. So with out of the way, you can find me on youtube.com/2la84me. And you're not going to find me on Twitter. I mean, you can. I am also on Twitter under 2la84me. I think it's too late for me and you. If you're a friend, you can find me on Discord. I'm not sharing any details about that here, but if you're a friend, you can find me on Discord. And that's all. I don't really use Facebook or Twitch, or I do have a Twitch, but I only use it for this kind of thing. You're not gonna find me on TikTok or SoundCloud. You're gonna find me on YouTube and maybe someplace else. I don't know. I don't have a Patreon to shill. I'm not really in this for the money, but if I am told enough times to do one, you moron, then I'll start one. But for now, it's just for entertainment and education. So, with that being said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.